you ready?
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Hey everyone, thank you all for tuning into Biz Mind Kids, the quarantine edition. My name is Nikki Watson, and I just want to let you know that our future is so bright. Why? You're about to see young scholars pour their heart out, want to know what does it take to be successful. They'll be interviewing today's business leaders to learn how to be tomorrow's business leaders. They will break down those communication barriers between different generations. Check them out.
My name is Heaven Sutherland, and welcome back to BMK Business Minds Kids, where we train the kings and queens of the future. In today's episode, our very own Miss Nikki will be interviewing Mr. Ricky Moore, who was the owner of Nyla Elise Clothing. Take it away.
Thank you, Heaven. One quick question. So, who is Rick Moore? I understand that Ricky Moore used to play basketball, right?
Yep.
Let's talk about your basketball career, because a lot of students want to play basketball. They hoop dreams. They say that they're going to make it to the NBA, which, every year the NBA only opens up 64 slots, right? And so How many basketball teams are out there in the city? So
only 32 guaranteed spots too. So
see, there you go. So let's talk about your basketball career. Let's talk about high school, going into college, and elaborate more on your collegiate level in basketball.
I just used to be a kid. My dad played in NFL for a little while, a couple years, got cut. He played with the Green Bay Packers. But my parents split when I was real young. So I went from hanging out with my dad, him coaching little league teams when I was first, second grade to third grade, like he just being gone pretty much, right? So it was just, I was then the man of the house at third, fourth grade. I just had to kind of man up and take on, just a different mentality. And I wasn't anymore. It went from having that security blanket of my dad going everywhere with him to like, hey, you're just out here now, right? So nobody, your dad's not coming, right? Like it's just God and you. So I just dug deep and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna use this fuel to fuel my fire and be successful. And I was angry for a while, you know what I mean? Like I was like, you know what? My motivation was to be better than him, right? And just kind of show his career up, right? And I just was like, I'm gonna be bigger and better than he ever was, right? So that helped me like go a long, long way. But what happened is I just focused on basketball. I wasn't getting my grades. I was just going through the motions, but I knew I was good. So I get to high school. The high school coach says, nah, you can't play varsity. And I was like, what do you mean I can't play varsity? I've been playing varsity. I've been playing with the varsity guys all summer, and I've been killing them. I've been doing my thing. So then I guess they had a rule where you had to be ninth grade, you had to be 11th grade to play. While my other friends were playing varsity at other schools, I knew you had 4 years to get out of high school and get a scholarship and do all that stuff, right? So I wasn't getting my grades, 9th grade. 10th grade came back. I was like, I know I'm making varsity this year. 10th grade coach said, nope, 11th grade. I was like, what? So then I just transferred, right? I left, went to another school to play for this other coach. Got there. He had his favorites. And the only reason I went was because he told my dad, just bring him over here to play for me. It was an African-American coach. So, you figure most of the time, just because somebody's, of our skin tone, they're going to look out for you in your best interest. When that was wrong, that wasn't the case, right? So you got to look out for yourself. My parents pretty much had given up on my hoop dreams, right? So I was like, I wasn't giving up because I was the one putting in the hours, staying out from sun up to sundown, shooting that basketball, right? All over the city, going to every neighborhood I could, destroying people. So I had a name on the street pretty much, but that didn't matter if you don't have the grades and you don't have a name in the classroom. So coming out of 8th grade, a guy in my neighborhood was older than me, and I used to beat him all the time. He went to this private school called Word of God Christian Academy, right? You might have heard of it because John Wall, who was the #1 pick in the draft years back, went to Word of God too. So I could have went to Word of God and started ninth grade there and played varsity, but I didn't want to wear a uniform. So I didn't want to conform to wearing a uniform, and that's what stopped me from going there. So I went on to the public school. It cost me 2 precious years of my high school career. Long story short, I get the Word of God, blow up, averaging 31 a game. Knew I could do it, right? Now everybody taking notice. Newspapers coming, everybody coming. And you know who else was coming? Hold on, I'm going to show you. So, just so happened, I'm in the shop. So, NC State came. Syracuse University came. Hampton University came. Johnson C. Smith, Clemson, all kind of people came, right? It's a whole box here full of letters, right? Miami, all kind of stuff, right? So I say all that to say, you know, Clemson University. So don't ever give up on your dreams, people. Don't ever give up. Because that says Ricky Moore on there, and them college and them high school coaches told me I wasn't good enough. So you got to believe in yourself. You can't let nobody deter you from your dream. I had an opportunity to play at NC State. They wanted me to come. Maryland, every school in the ACC, Boston College, all kind of schools, right? So, but when it came time to commit, I didn't have the grades. So I ended up going to Hampton University. I had a 990 on my SAT. I could have went to Hargrave Military Academy with my buddy David West and Josh Howard. They didn't have good grades either, so they were going to put me there. I said I didn't want to wear a military uniform this time, right? So I'm 16, 17. I'm like, look, I'm not going to a military school for sure. I barely wanted to wear the uniform in my private school. So I went to Hampton. I immediately hated it because I was going to college strictly to play basketball to go to the NBA. I was ranked 45 in the nation coming out of high school. Referees was telling me, you're going to make a lot of money playing this game one day, son. So I'm riding high, you know, not having to work a job. I'm getting money from sponsors and people telling me, hey, just concentrate on your schoolwork. You're going to the NBA, so we don't want you to have to worry about a job. You can focus. What do you need to buy? I was like, I need to put gas in my car, go out on the weekends, and, of course, buy the newest Jordans that come out, right? So some sponsors took care of that. I didn't have to go work a job. I could completely focus on basketball and my schoolwork. Made straight A's and maybe a B here or there. Got into Hampton University. Didn't like it at first because I hated the basketball side. I went from playing at a very high level against future NBA players in the summertime to going to an HBCU. That's the lowest conference that's the lowest basketball conference in Division I, basically, right? So I wasn't inspired to play anymore. So I ended up getting kicked off the team. You know, I left there, went to a school, Greensboro College, ended up playing football. I just walked on the football team because I always said I wanted to be better than my dad, right? So my mom would never let me play football because she was scared I would get hurt. So what I did was I was like, I'm going to play football. And I went out there and caught 15 touchdowns the first year of trying. Jacksonville Jaguars and the Carolina Panthers worked me out. I ended up going to the Buffalo Bills, went to the Buffalo Bills, got cut, played some arena football, came back home and started my clothing line. So I guess that's just a story of perseverance and people telling you one thing that they're not even qualified. That coach that told me I couldn't play varsity wasn't qualified to evaluate a talent on my level. I guess is what I'm telling y'all. He never had seen a player as good as me at that age. So he wasn't qualified to tell me I couldn't play varsity. What I needed to do was immediately seek somewhere else underneath somebody's guidance that was qualified to tell me that. So when people are telling you no to your dreams, first of all, make sure they qualify and to give you that no. If they've been there, done that, and they know what it takes, that guy didn't know what it took to get to the NBA. He didn't even know what it took to get to college to play. So he wasn't qualified to tell me, give me a no. So I get out of college and I come home and start my clothing company. So that's how, I guess, in a nutshell, that was about my basketball career, and it was over. Once I got to Hampton, and my basketball career was over because I wasn't inspired anymore to play because I love the game too much to play at a low level. And no disrespect to Hampton University at all, just the basketball level, I wasn't. I felt like I shouldn't have been anywhere near Hampton University playing basketball. So education, amazing. I love Hampton University for the school and the education. That's the reason I love college, because I went there and the people I met, and from the educational side, not the basketball side.
Very enlightening. So let's go back to where people kept saying, get your education, focus on that. So how important is it to have that foundation of education
Super important.
Before you get into like your extracurricular? Like everybody wants to play the sports, but if you don't have that foundation with education, how far can you get when your body can't take you but so far? Even if you make it to the NBA, now when people are not there, you're always going to have your mind, but your body's not there. Because even Kobe Bryant said, going from back and forth, it was taxing on his body. That's why he did helicopters. So
yeah, yes.
Go ahead.
If you making millions of dollars, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to know about taxes. You need to know about investing. You need to know about banking. You need to know about interest rates on credit cards. All that. You got to know how to count. Like you can't. Education is key. Whether you go to college or not, you get the education these kids getting right now in grade school, middle school, and high school. You gotta grasp them basics, because you don't want to be out here not able to read a contract. How I'm gonna do a deal with Under Armour or Pepsi Cola or Lenovo or New Balance, and I can't read? If I couldn't read, I'd be in trouble. And it's not as easy as, go get an attorney, and then you want to read over what the attorney's reading over, because how you know the attorney really reading it? He or she might just be passing it through to get their check. So education is immensely important, immensely important. If you self-educate yourself too, even outside of your schooling, read, go to YouTube, figure out how to do stuff. Don't be afraid to jump in the industry just because it's saturated. How do you know so say this, if Drake was like the rapper and the singer Drake, if he said, you know what, it's a lot of people rapping, Miss Nikki, I don't think I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna stick to this acting thing. The world would never know Drake. And then he got in it, and he's arguably the best rapper now, right? So if he would have looked at his space and said it's crowded and saturated, I'm not gonna try it, then we wouldn't have Drake. What if Jay-Z would have did the same thing? What if Beyonce would have said, it's too many singers, I'm not gonna try it. I'm gonna try something easy. Don't go after the easy thing. Go after the hard thing, the thing that's testing you, the thing that's pulling on your heartstrings, because that's where you need to be. That's the space you want to be in.
Yep. And it's very important to educate. And actually, this summer, we was reading 2 books this summer, Rich Dad, Poor Dad and Heroes Wanted. And I was just telling them that some of their classmates don't want to be in the program, don't want to read, but you're one step ahead of them because you're working to play later.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Exactly. I just met a kid. I want to tell you this too. I was at so we building this TV network, right? So it's called App.TV. So hopefully it'll be pretty big soon. But it's a live streaming network for sports and just all other things. And I am in charge of the content. So I'm in charge of like 85% of the content, different shows and things of that nature, right? Just like at a TV station. So my buddy David West, I was telling you about, we're partnering together on it. So he went on to the NBA. And just to give you a breakdown of a money thing, when we were in high school, I was ranked way higher than him, right? He went to Hargrave for the extra year, was disciplined enough to go to the military academy, went on to Xavier University, went on to become number 13, 14 pick in the draft, something like that. Went on to make over $80 million in the NBA. So who's to say if I would have went, we'd have been roommates there, we'd have inspired each other. I couldn't have went on to the NBA and had a piece of that kind of lifestyle too. So I'm just saying, your actions and your hastiness can cost you financially too, right? So I looked at it like, you know what? I'm coming back stronger and then ever. And that's just motivation for me to go back and get everything I missed and some this time around, right? But I just say that to say, you never know what your patience will get you. Patience is a virtue, and y'all gotta make sure you have a little bit of patience, if not a lot. Try to have at least a little bit.
Yes, that's what I always try to tell them, because I have a lot of patience, especially with them. They know I have a lot of patience. Can we get a thumbs up on that, somebody? Do I have patience with y'all? But
Washington.
All right. So, all right. So one more question. I got two more questions for you. So selling T-shirts, everybody wants to sell T-shirts, but you have worked with Kevin Hart, Issa Rae, who I love,
yep,
as well as you with New Balance. How did you get that? Because everybody's selling T-shirts out here. Like God is dope. That's a big brand, but
yep.
we don't see them.
That's in Atlanta.
That's in Atlanta, yes. But
yep.
We don't see them having contracts with New Balance. We don't see them having contracts with Lenovo. How important is it to just keep that spunk, keep that spice that you have, even though when you say people around you are not cheering for you? How important is that?
It's super important, because you got to be able to inspire yourself when you're not getting inspired other places, right? So like when my dad left, I could have easily just sulked and went to school and started getting in fights and just blamed it on, oh, my dad's not around. I'm gonna get in trouble in school. I'm just gonna act out. But that wasn't the case. My mom is an amazing woman, single parent, raised 3 kids, myself and my 2 sisters. And the last thing I wanted to do was have her getting off work, coming up to school, having to tend to me for some foolishness, right? I wanted to do everything I could to take something off her plate and put something else on it. So I just basically would say, don't you can't use things as excuses and as crutches, right? Mm-hmm. So what I did was I wanted to work with the biggest and baddest companies in all of the land. Like I want to work with these billion-dollar companies. I want to work with these larger-than-life companies I grew up on, like Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Lenovo. To me, those are the companies. If you want to be the best, like you got to be surrounding yourself with the best. That's the only way you can truly match up. Like you can't say, I want to go to the NFL and you ain't even in school. How you gonna get to the NFL? Like you think the NFL is just gonna come
or making the grades
and see you playing on the football field and say, oh, we want you. No, they're gonna come. If they see you and like you, they're gonna say, what school you go to? First thing they're gonna do is call the school and see what your grades look like, because the grades and the attendance at school is gonna tell them what type of person you are. Are you dependable? If the Atlanta Falcons give you a $50 million contract, are you going to show up to work? Are you going to show up to work on time? If you show up, are you going to get out here and go spend the money crazy and just get into drugs and get into all kind of criminal activity and not be reliable? They need you to be a pillar in the community. They need you to be a pillar in the locker room, all of that. So your grades, school proves that you can go to school and sit in an environment, a controlled setting, and take instruction from a teacher, right? Jobs looking at, they looking at your history as soon as you get in high school. They looking at all the way back to middle school even sometimes now. So schooling is important to pay attention. Pay attention in school. Not just sit there and go through the motions. Pay attention. Try to learn as much as you can. Because in some countries where education, people are starving to be educated. And in America, sometimes we take it for granted. And I think if you want to go as far as you can in life, you got to always keep educating yourself and pouring water and putting sunlight onto your garden so you can continue to flourish.
Yes, that's what we want them to do. Plant that seed and watch it grow. All right. So
plant multiple seeds all over the place, because you never know what.
Highs and low entrepreneurship. Give me one sentence that's a high for entrepreneurship and give me another sentence that's a low for entrepreneurship.
Black Enterprise, when I made Black Enterprise magazine.
Ah.
So this is a plaque from when I made Black Enterprise magazine.
Okay.
And that was what I wanted to do. And I was able to accomplish that. So that was a super high. I mean, that's if you look at Black Enterprise Magazine, they do 10 issues a year. You just say for the last 20 years, right? 10 issues, the small business section. That means 200 people only have been featured in that small business section over the last 20 years. They only pick one person every episode. I mean, every edition. And I'm in there. So I'm an elite company. That's super high. I mean, you have everybody from Russell Simmons to Kevin Hart that's been on that cover to, whoever else, right? Like, that's like our Forbes magazine to African-American community, right? In financial literacy. So that was a high. And then the lows are just like, one time I went to to get an ice cream cone for my son wanted some ice cream after school. And I went through the Chick-fil-A line, went to swipe my card, and it wasn't enough money in there to get it. So, I mean, I had moved, I had spent money and I had been, buying product, doing whatever it was, right? And I went to look at the